Alright everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So we are going to be doing some alteration review for the big scale, the O over here. So in terms of the O, I gotta say, if you guys are able to put any of the parts over here, I would say this is going to be really good for just, alteration. Do keep that in mind, this is going to be a big scale, so you are going to be getting a lot from this. And plus, this is going to be our first summonable SHB unit that is able to go up to a 7-star for a shooting base part over here. So this is a very valued parts to be looking at over here. So we only have 6 parts to be looking at, and I think all of them are very good in its own respective in terms of the head, chest, arms, legs, the backpack, and even the rifle. The rifle, like this one being a rifle category, or the rifle, category over here, this makes it a very good target in terms of subslotting. So this is very well done indeed over here. So let me actually get started with the head part over here, so you guys can already see what is the placement for the head so far. So do keep that in mind. In terms of big scale, they usually don't pump out like a lot of like let's say somewhere around up here. So they usually tend to have a little bit lower stat than, let's say, something that will come out as a 1-to-1 for the scale. So that something that came out last week, like this Sabanya, is like all the way up here. So you are roughly about 600 point differences, but do keep it in mind, the O, it does have a big scale property. So in terms of what you can do with this one is going to be a lot more better. So in terms of overall stat, we are looking very healthy in terms of the overall shot attack, so that's great to see. Shot defense, I would expect a little bit higher, but I think that's a pretty much all I can do. But you can see that the armor is extremely high as well for a shooting base part, so that is definitely a rare breed as well. So in terms of overall work tag, so this is where it's gonna come into play, because if you keep that in mind, we already do have the other alternative attribute for the already. So in terms of the other attribute, we have, I believe, high mobility and commander. So those are two different one tag that you can potentially get as well if you already do have the tag attribute. So you will need to have 2 of the O parts in order to gain that. So let's say you pull this part but you don't have the tag attribute, you won't be able to access it. So that is definitely something you want to keep that in mind. But you know what's funny about these two word tag? Look at on the overall roster, what else do we have that has the ace exclusive and high firepower combo? These two parts right here, these two right here are definitely going to be some top runner in terms of trying to subslot the O, because what this one is will allow you to do. So basically on a big scale, you get that non-conditional 20% subslot, and if you are going to subslot something that has the same word tag, for example like this one, to something like this, you're getting approximately 40.5% on the spot. And guess what? You were able to get from this part right here, you were able to access commander tag as well. So I'd be like, I don't know what's better. Like, this is that's too good. I will have to say, in terms of the overall portrait, it's not like anything like too grandiose, for example. So this is gonna be like a regular EX skill power boosting, and then the first portrait is gonna be more like there was a disturbing EX skill portrait, excuse me. So this one's gonna be all enemy cooldown up by 20%. So this one is a probably trying to nuke your this is, I call these types of part right here like anti cooldown reduction type build over here. So you will probably need 120% in order to bypass this one over here. So this is very annoying. So I will have to say the O does have a lot of these like tricky parts that if you do have it, like if you see anyone runs the O parts, you already know what's gonna happen. Like you trying to like do like a 100% cooldown, it's not gonna happen. So you're gonna be at least 80%. So you would need at least 120%. So in terms of the O parts right here, this one makes a very good subslot battery and a very disturbing portrait as well. So a very good head part. If you guys are able to get that, definitely alterate it. So moving on to the chest over here. So overall stat of the chest is that definitely in terms of overall roster, we are looking a little bit on the lower end tier. Something that we have in the overall roster, something around 10,000. So you're roughly about 800 points off from the leaderboard. But like I said again, this one is going to be a big scale. So like this one right here, the tech Quibbly, they are very good. Like I think Quibbly is probably the better of the bunch. Like overall stat is slightly peaking higher, so that does makes it a little bit more it will age a little bit slower than these parts over here. Like if they start rolling out a lot of these big scale alternative attribute, they are gonna outclass these one pretty soon. So but do keep in mind, although the overall stat is a little bit lower, but there is that link attribute that you can gain another 6 additional all power boosting, so you can definitely make up for that. Like these part right here don't really have an alternative attribute like wing 0. What else do we have? Kasashia. We don't have like we do actually. So all these actually does have an alternative attribute like these one over here. These all actually have alternative attribute already. So these are basically gaining another additional 6%. This one is not, this one is, this one's not, this one is not, this one is not. So yeah, you guys pretty much get the overall picture right there. But in terms of the pressure, like when we initially saw the preview for the banner, we thought we're getting another like a pressure, like a debuffer. That would be, you know what? If they would have made that, they would have like completely killed off arena for sure. Like if you see 3 of your enemy running, let's say pressure, you're pretty much, you know what? Just close the game, rest for the day, because there's nothing you can do. Because I believe the effects actually carries over. Let's say the first wave has like the pressure, like the debuffing pressure, and then whatever activate it, I think it actually goes through until the actual timer stops. So you guys are definitely going to be in a bad pinch right there for sure. But they made this one as the actual EX skill. This one is actually quite a good AoE attacker as well. But in terms of the overall rank, I don't have it, so I can't really tell you guys how good of a range is. But it should be quite an interesting EX skill, as it does shoot out like just like a pressure wave from your overall gunpla. So it should make a very good, you know, just an AoE attacker in terms of like, if you put this on a cooldown reduction type build, oh man, that's gonna be insane as well. But overall, we do have the parts just kind of alterated because of the overall stats. 10k armor, definitely a very good addition. And then in terms of all the other parameters, you guys can see that the melee and shot are very close to each other. They're not like, this is a very balanced out parts, like, you know, that's kind of crazy. So not only this one like a big scale, this one having some balanced stats, so that is definitely quite interesting. Whereas wise Ace exclusive and Commander are, well, you do have Commander once you do get it up to 7-star, have access to the P attribute if you have that, or not the P attribute. If you have the tech attribute, the O, you can definitely access its war tech as well. So this one does make a very good addition. If you guys are planning to use this on a let's say on a melee build, you definitely can, because of what the status is pumping out. So, but otherwise, this one is a very good part. So. Right, moving on to the arm. So the arm is a very dangerous arm to be looking at, because we are getting something called the debuffing EX skill effects up. So this is basically the opposite of what I've been praying for, like the best portrait. So the debuffing EX skill effects is a very passively, you know, just like, you know, slowly removing your enemy, like what they can actually do. So you can actually make your opponent do 0 damage to you at any given time when you are using any buffing EX skill or debuffing EX skill. It's because these right here are just literally and like basically adding on to what. So basically you take that 40% and then you just basically add that to whatever your debuffing EX skill originally doing already. So that's why it makes them very powerful. So at base level 1, we are starting out at 25% already. So like in terms of the O, they are packing a lot of 40% trait parts, because this one is a 40% trait, the rifle is a 40% trait, so they're not holding back at all. So this one high power and ace exclusive, so you do gain the access, you know, upon 7-star and have access to the tech attribute version. You'll be able to get those additional war tag as well. So that's why if you are able to pair up another, like if I look at the roster right now, something that has a high firepower and ace exclusive, we have a lot. This one right here, the A to Z, definitely a very good option. Raphael, look at that. So all these are able to gain an additional, like basically if you do any sub-slot shenanigans with this part right here, you're getting roughly about 40.5% sub-slot conversion. So that is insane. Like keep that in mind, they go up to 7-star. The amount of stat they're pumping out will probably carry any player to like a good amount. Like I don't know, this just a very good, you know, shot attack for sure. But other than that, there's not much to talk about. So high armor as well. In terms of the other like offensive stat, I think it's a pretty good actually. Like 14k for that melee attack, and definitely really good. So like I said again, the overall stat for like this guy itself is a very, you know, balanced out. You can use this on both build, no problem. So that is the crazy part of it. Like because this is an EXQ boosting, so you can actually use it on a melee build if you do want to do that. But first portrait is definitely not going to be applicable if you're not running Ace of Subset on a melee build. So, but otherwise, the arm is a very dangerous portrait right there. That's crazy. I wonder if we will ever get those 40% buff skill effects, like the opposite, like the actually allowing you to do damage. I think that will be a very deadly way for us to do a lot of damage, because like I currently have over 100% buff skill effects. If they start rolling out those 20%, like, man, that's gonna change everything. Okay. Alright, moving on to the lake. So the lake does have a very generic EX skill. So I think purely if you want to alterate it, definitely alterate it just for the big skill purposes. And then for the, the word tag, those word tags are crazy. Commander, high power, like those are nuts. Those are like the best word tag you want to have, basically. So I don't know, like the EX skill is kind of like bland, like it's not that good, but the overall part itself, the stat, what it's carrying as attribute, shooting base part, definitely really solid. So the overall stat for the oh, look at those armor, 9k, they're very good. Offensive stat 6k and then 5k for the defensive capability, so very good as well. So hits and arm is not like, I don't really like this EX skill. It's not anything fantasy. So I mean, like if you have this part, I would say ignore the EX skill unless you like it. I mean, like it's not anything too special, but other than that, very good stats. It's just very good for alteration for sure. Alright, moving on to the backpack over here. So this one is quite an interesting part to be looking like. And look at the stats. This one is all the way up here. So this one is beating some of your non-big scale. Like this one over here, non-big scale. This one is not a big scale. This one is not either. So kind of crazy. Alright, so in terms of overall stat, armor is pretty up there as well. Okay. And then we can see some melee attack is slightly lower, about 800 points off. So okay, 7k on the spot. Wow, is that the highest raw shot attack we have seen? I don't think so, right? But the defensive stat on this one is definitely lower on the shooting base specifically. So okay, so this one is actually coming in with a Artistan Gamma. So this one is buffing overall squad by 49%. So I'm surprised they actually drop a buffer, like the EX skill buffer actually. I mean, it's not that bad because I don't think we have that much option in terms of Artistan on the backpack portion. But in terms of trying to max it out to like that 49%, that's gonna be, I wouldn't do that actually, because we just have too many free-to-play versions of these types of EX skill. And even standard that are just a lot more easy to kind of max it out. So this one simply alterated just to enjoy the pure amount of stat that you're looking at, and then the fact that this one is a big scope. So alright, moving on to the finale. This is definitely the best part of the set. This one is gonna be a large beam rifle. So in terms of the overall stat, we're looking all the way down here. So as expected, coming out from a big scale property. But word tag wise, high firepower and commander, definitely one of your go-to word tag for sure. And this one is coming in with those 40% trade, so that's actually really good. So this one actually, if you want, you can definitely put this one on any given build, because this one is actually just a generic EX skill power boosting. But it does want you to use high firepower. So this one is going to be a little bit restrictive, and then does have an HP restriction as well. So once you do fall below that, you will have to heal yourself back up before that will proctor back again. And look, this one is really good. So if you guys are able to pull the large beam rifle, this is definitely the best part to kind of put into the oven or like the grove hanger, because like having double 40% trait on a big scale, this is definitely going to age for eternity. Like this having those 40% trait on a big scale, like this is, you can't beat that. And good word tag as well. Like what else can you ask for? So I think overall in terms of the old, like it's better than anticipated. So this one being an S attribute, definitely a very solid option right now, because up until now currently we really don't have any S attribute. So the only one that we have was actually the Synergy, which I don't think a build project, not a lot of people have it. So this one is purely like the very first, having the S attribute. So this makes it a very good target, just anyone who is lacking in terms of, let's say, S attribute. But with that being said, I would have to say in terms of big scale, any part is definitely good for alteration. Just the sheer amount of sub slot bonuses you can kind of get by from just having a 9 condition to 20%. But other than that, that's going to be pretty much it in terms of the O over here. So up next, I will be covering the Gaian as well. So I will catch you guys all on the next one.